The district attorney out of Georgia, Fani Willis, says a decision is imminent as it relates to Donald Trump and the entire investigation into his meddling in Georgia elections. All right, so the Fulton County DA, Fani Willis, has suggested Tuesday that a decision on whether to seek indictment is imminent. She says it is following an 8-month special grand jury investigation. The terminology special grand jury is important. I will explain in just a moment. This special grand jury investigation dealt with former President Donald Trump and his allies and their potential criminal conduct in Georgia's 2020 elections. We all heard the recordings. Her comments came at the beginning of a 90-minute hearing in which the Superior Court judge, his name is Robert McBurney, considered whether and when to release the grand jury's final report. The document is expected to include the group's findings and charging recommendations. Okay, understand how this works, because there's already spin coming from Trump's camp, and they literally released a statement saying, we must conclude that there's absolutely nothing here, and that's the reason why we're not moving forward. The grand jury under Georgia law does not have the authority to indict, okay? So when attorneys come out saying, well, that means that there's going to be no indictment, they don't even have the authority to indict. How is that so? How does a grand jury not have the authority to indict? Well, a special purpose or special use grand jury in the state of Georgia is an investigative body. They have significant investigative ability. They can literally convene for 1 year and investigate whatever they choose, go down all the rabbit holes, all right? That's a lot of authority for one group of individuals. So the state law checks that authority by saying, we will give you subpoena power. We will give you the power to investigate whatever you say you want to investigate. We will give you this authority. But one authority we're going to take away is your ability to indict. So this special purpose grand jury cannot indict, but they can make recommendations. If they have made recommendations to indict or to follow a particular line of evidence, that means another grand jury, a normative grand jury, will be convened. And that grand jury can make a decision on the recommendations or provide additional evidence by way of subpoena, all right? So the DA, Willis, and her team argued the report should be kept under seal for now. The state understands the media's inquiry, the world's interest, but we have to be mindful of protecting future defendants' rights, the DA said. Without commenting on those future defendants, maybe, Willis said, decisions are imminent. At this time, in the interest of justice and the rights of not the state but others, we are asking that the report not be released. And this is really interesting because she just told you what's up. She said, we're trying to protect future defendants. You got to think about this or not. Future defendants. Oh, it's coming, okay? There's more. McBurney, the judge, and granted, there's not a lot of precedent here because these kinds of grand juries are so rare. You don't have a lot of precedent. So McBurney, the judge, noted that there is very little legal precedent guiding him, since special grand juries are rare. Pressing the DA's office, he said the Congressional Select Committee investigating the Jan 6, 2021 insurrection at the US Capitol examined many of the same topics as the Fulton County Special Grand Jury and did so in public. Now we'll submit this for the record. While the judge is accurate in that proclamation, the Jan 6 investigation was not a criminal investigation in nature. It was not. And it was, in fact, very political. As I said on day one, there's a political dynamic and then there is a legal dynamic, but it was never a criminal investigation. This has real criminal penalty, which creates a different dynamic. All right, so the January 6th commission, according to the judge, seemed to do what it did, and DOJ did not have the shutdown after those referrals came, he said, referring to the Justice Department, which is conducting its own probe. At the end of the hearing, McBurney, the judge, said he had yet to make up his mind about sealing the report. He could decide to redact portions of the document and then release it. Trump defended his post-election conduct in Georgia with a pair of falsehood-filled posts on his social media platform, Truth Social, early Tuesday. So Trump wants you to believe he was actually just a protester. That's all he was doing. He was protesting, okay? So Trump said, I was protesting a rigged and stolen election, which evidence proves it was, and it doesn't. I won Georgia by a lot, he says, but only needed a small number of votes from that total number, meaning the lot he's talking about. They cheated in many ways, including stuffing ballots, all caught live on tape. Once again, another lie, all right? Okay, Ms. Dahl, thoughts here.
You know, as much as I really want Trump to be indicted for what he did in Georgia, because I think that's a crime, I actually think it's a bad precedent to steal the report. Grand juries by nature are so secretive. Unlike typical juries, you never even find out who sits on them. And then on top of it, to have the report sealed, I think doesn't give enough transparency. And I think that actually could be a bad precedent for future grand juries that are convened like that.
Yeah, and you know what will happen. You release the information too soon, Trump gets a hold of it, starts to pick people apart, right? By putting his cronies on them. We know the play here.